I'm Sergio Andreozzi, Strategy and Policy Manager at EGI.eu, and I came to Riga to attend the ERG workshop, which topic will be related to open science and e-infrastructures. And I believe that the concept of open science commons would be useful to the discussion of the workshop. So before defining open science commons, I would like to define the two terms composing it, which is open science and commons. Open science refers to the process of opening the creation, dissemination of scholarly knowledge towards many participants. And it's a concept that was born already in the 17th century with the birth of the journal systems, and with which goal was to offer researchers a channel to disseminate the results of their work in a way that also they would provide credits to them. That was an initial way, a step towards opening science in terms of opening research results. Nowadays, we can do much more thanks to the availability of technologies like internet or the web, and the fact that science is becoming digital. It's possible to think about large research collaborations, thousands of researchers who collaborate together, not only to disseminate the research results, but also to making science. So the openness also involves the creation of the scientific results. And this also involves from the steps of already generating the ideas, from the conceptualization of what are the possible research goals, to the gathering of data, access to open data that may be available on the internet, but also to using large-scale infrastructures and tools and software to analyze data and to generate results that then get published. And open science nowadays also involves a wide amount and types of resources. So we think about they need to be shared, these resources. So we can think about resources like scientific instruments or digital data, e-infrastructures to access, for instance, large-scale computing capabilities, could be commodity computing or supercomputing, and also to service to manage data. But finally, it's very important also being able to access experts, so people, say the intellectual capital or the experts that can support researchers in better doing their job. So the question is, how do we manage all this type of shared resources in a way that maximizes the value for the researchers? And here it comes to the commons, the concept of the commons, which is a way, an approach to govern shared resources within a community in a way that resources feel engaged in defining the rules to govern the resources, to share them, and in a way that maximizes the value for them. And we can see the commons already applied in a number of resources. For instance, in the software area, we find the Linux as a type of commons, where basically there is a number of defined rules from a community where software engineers can provide contribution to a common code base, and there are rules to define how this gets accepted, how conflicts get resolved, and so on. Another type of commons in the digital area is the Wikipedia, where a large amount of people contribute to building a common knowledge base, and they feel engaged, and there are clear rules for them to engage and to develop this common shared body of knowledge. In the infrastructure area also we see that the concept of commons has been applied to infrastructure resources like, for instance, the GÉANT. A few years ago, a high-level expert group defined a roadmap to evolve the governance of GÉANT towards becoming a communication commons for the knowledge communities in Europe. Later, the commons concept was expanded towards other infrastructures, and the ERG came with the concept of envision of an infrastructure commons, where basically all the infrastructures are interoperable, integrated, and easy to access for the research communities. And with the Open Science Commons, we are taking a step forward. We are recognizing that open science requires not just communication infrastructure, not just infrastructure, but also other type of resources that need to be shared and governed by the community. And for instance, we have the data, we have experts, people that can support researchers into doing their work. For instance, if you think about the concept of e-science centers. And the idea of the Open Science Commons is that all the set of interrelated resources that are needed for science can be managed as commons. So the Open Science Commons we don't see as a unique thing, as a unique governance for all the resources. We see that there are different types of commons that they will have their own governance according to the principle of community participation and the users who can influence the rules to access the resources, to resolve the conflicts and so on. And once this is implemented, we see that the vision is should be enabled that all researchers from all disciplines would have access to all the advanced services they need. It can be digital services, can be data, knowledge, expertise, or instruments that would enable them to collaborate and to achieve excellence in science. But also they feel engaged into governing these resources, in defining the rules for the evolution. To pick up an example in the area of data, we can consider the Genome Commons, that is the public availability of all data coming from the Human Genome Project that was made available according to well-defined rules, stating when the data should be available and to what kind of groups. And the later project in the genomic area also followed not the exact rules, but a similar type of approach, and can consider to be like a kind of data commons, because the rules were defined by the community, and there was also they were defined in a way to ensure a non-discriminatory access to the data, and the public availability of this data without restrictions generated a huge social return to the research sector. So in the area of computing, we foresee the creation of a European backbone of pool of resources that come from the individual member states that contribute to the creation of a generic infrastructures on top of which different research infrastructures of the long tail can build their own research platforms. And the idea, this can be structured as a commons if individual institutions or the individual countries would contribute a certain pool of resources to common infrastructures, and if this offer a generic set of capabilities which are open standards and do not create artificial lock-ins, and also if there is a clear governance defined at different levels, from the local level to the national to the European, that enables the communities who use the resources, they can be the various S3 projects or the long tail with their own representatives, to define and participate in the evolution of these generic common infrastructures in a way that this can follow their needs, in a way also that can establish rules for different communities to access the valuable capacity in a way which is not discriminatory for them. We see open standards as instrumental to creating the commons, so to making this sharing resources viable, and to enable, for instance, even the coexistence of resources coming from the private sector or from the public sector. And as long as they are based on open standards, user communities can have the freedom to participate and choose what best fit their needs without creating artificial enclosures or lock-in to a certain provider. And also the users can participate into influencing the evolution of the services, either from the private sector or from the public sector, and can have a role in defining how these resources get shared within the community. With the Open Science Commons, we believe we are at the beginning of an interesting journey of applying the Commons principle to a wider set of shared resources, not just infrastructures, but also other type of resources. And we understand there is lots of work to be done for the future.